So it's
I
recording,
think
so
we're
we're
good to
live.
go.
So let's go.
Yeah.
So welcome, Alice Scutchey, a
Scutchy.
senior PA at American Express, and the owner and founder of the PA Club at
Mhm.
Canary Wharf, where you support PAs and believe they should have a clear path and equal progress and opportunity to fulfil career ambitions.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
So
definitely.
we've been chatting for a while. You're working remotely now, at home, nice and quietly, calmly and
Mm.
peacefully.
Well, I
And
don't know about that. I'm hiding in my bedroom,
yeah,
obviously. You see the
so
headboard.
so as you know, it's 20-minute tips, and it's just running through some of the minefields of remote working, which is
Mm.
as you chat individually and unpack it. I've just been working on the landing page and just saying that it's a game changer and it's unique in everyone's scenario. So we was on a
Mm.
call the other day with Ashley, who sat in Bangkok in his apartment on his own with no kids. in,
Yeah.
in one aspect, that's something you could resent because it's nice and calm and peaceful.
Mm.
Um, your face,
Although he's sitting on a table, apparently, isn't he? With
yeah,
he hasn't actually even got a chair.
behind on a dressing table. But it's funny because there's two things. There's working remotely, which I think has got a big aspect to it, and I didn't really realise how qualified I am to talk about it until I started putting it together. And then there's
Mm.
working remotely with the virus, because you used to working remotely in some aspects, aren't you?
Yeah, so we do, I mean, my company's really flexible, so they do encourage us to, you know, do a bit of both. But normally, like we said last time, it's kind of this is different because normally you're working from home, the kids are at nursery, I can get quite a lot of work done. Um, Whereas now, when I saw a quote the other day, it was like, you're trying to work from home amongst, among a crisis. You're not with the kids
Mm.
at home, so you're not just working from home as you normally would. Um, so yeah, it's different challenges now. But you work from home all the time, don't you? Like
So I
full
work,
time.
yeah. So I've worked remote everywhere really. So I've got the cabin at the end of the garden, which is something I did, was a workshop, and I've converted it into offices when I downsized the businesses. But I've actually worked remotely. I feel better going out. So
Mm,
I have a nightmare for Starbucks and Costa. But I go round if I'm in Prague. I'll find a Starbucks or so I'll find places to work, and I've pretty much managed. This is a keyboard and an iPad, and then I've got
mm,
this pad. This has been businesses, and I've developed 3 businesses with these, and pretty much most of it I can adapt using different softwares,
mm,
and that's how I've worked remotely. But it's interesting. So there's a technique to working remotely, which is a bit like a
mm,
stance, but then there's a whole nother game changer that comes in. So you can work from home and probably do certain things really, really well. Like if I'm
mm.
working out and I'm sat somewhere in a coffee shop, I can get quite creative in writing some context. But if I'm wanting to do a spreadsheet or work on Photoshop or the website, the screen's
Mm.
small. So I do that better when I work from home. So what I found is I adapt certain things to certain places, where in an office, it's like um, everything should work in that one space.
Yeah, I literally just had a conversation with my husband actually, because he's obviously doing some bits from home now, and he was saying about one of his friends and the wife's company have sent home loads of equipment for her to use because normally she's in an office. Similar to me, I normally have 2 screens. I've got my phone, I've got my mobiles, I've got my chargers, everything's there. You've got an IT team on site, so if you've got any issues, they're there. But I literally have just been on Amazon this morning and ordered a cable because I've got a PC at home, but I've also got my work laptop. So I've ordered a lead now, which will allow me to connect it up, and I can have my own kind of 2 screen set up in the office at home,
Mm.
just to make it feel like you're in the normal working environment. So I'll let you know how that goes. But that's sort of one of the things I've tried to do is just to mirror what I have at work.
Mm. But it's interesting because those 2 screens for me when I'm working on the websites is excellent because you can make the changes
Mm,
and then see them live. Or if I'm working on Photoshop, I can look at a bigger screen and still look at social and emails while I'm doing it. So you become and I like using the analogies of either the boxing where things change and the games change, and suddenly you've not got the skills and the powers that you had before. Like two screens
Mm,
is like a double jab in boxing. That suddenly, if you've got one arm tied behind your back and you haven't got that jab, well,
mm,
I've only got that now. It just you suddenly don't perform as well as you did, and it's the flow that works. So when you're in the office and you've got that flow, and it's
mm,
interesting how this is when people coach one to one, they're getting a better flow state in a normal environment. So they may
mm,
work out really, really well at work. But this is the same principles of coaching to get a life by design, but in a scenario where you've shifted from whatever state you had before. Now it's been scrambled even more
mm.
because just the two screen thing. I've just been down the house because my wife's working at home and she's going mad because she's done an update and now she can't put photos on to a Word document. And I've had a load of that
Yeah.
over the last 2 weeks. And
Mm,
that's stressful. You don't realize in your mind, the bit that I try and pick up is it's only stressful because we had an expectation of what we
mm.
thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's where the pain comes. I'm just writing about the content and
Mm,
where it is. It's you just thought it wasn't okay for your kids to be screaming in the
mm,
background. And
mhm,
some people that may be the new normal, and them to be comfortable
mm,
that their kids are, it's funny finding out what the pain is now, because the two screen things is almost a, some people will be like, oh, I'd love to have two
that's a
screens.
luxury. Yeah.
But at your level, you've worked with those two screens, so that's normal. Some people might
Mm,
be thinking, I might get a second screen because they never had that in a
mm,
normal state. Now they might
mm.
have an old laptop that they're sat on their knees on a coffee table getting a bad back.
Mm.
It's funny the little things that. So is there anything that's caught you out that you didn't? So the screens was one thing.
Screens, but like you said, that is a very much a luxury. I can still do my job um, effectively enough with one screen. It's just really my preference. But I suppose being caught out, I think obviously the kids, I think, like you said, it's that pain of knowing what you'd normally achieve
Mm,
versus real life. So I thought I could, because I do work from home every now and again, I thought it'd just be like that, but all the time. So I was like, well, this would be great. I'd get quite a lot of work done from home. But
yeah.
normally my kids are in nursery. Um, so yeah, that's been probably the biggest kind of change for me, is actually trying to work around them. So the first week we were at home, we just did kind of like a as and when with my husband. We kind of, if I had a call, he would look after the kids, and then vice versa. If he needed to pop out and pick something up or do anything, get some shopping, I would watch the kids. But that just wasn't. It just doesn't work in my world, because my boss obviously has meetings all day, every day, that are changing constantly. So I kind of always need to be checking my emails throughout the day. I can't just do 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there.
Mm.
So for us now, we've kind of created a new schedule, which is like 2 hour blocks.
So is
And
this
that
you and
seems to
your
be working
husband,
well for us.
or you and your boss?
Yeah, and that seems to be working. Me and my husband, no. So, and basically with my boss, because he's in a similar situation, but he has a proper office where he can lock himself away and dedicate time and stuff, and he's already got a good thing in place with his wife and kids. Um, and he's quite used to managing his diary well. So
Mm.
he's been really supportive, and I think that helps as well. If your company's supportive, then you just got to keep them in the loop. So now I've been set in and out of office. If I do step away from the desk for longer than say half an hour, I've put my out of office on to say, look, I'm away from my desk. If you need me, if it's urgent, call my mobile, because then at least I know I'm not going to miss anything really important. But equally, I'm not going to be stuck at my desk all day when I don't need to be, or if the kids need me, I can be there for them.
Yeah,
So I
it's
think it's just about
interesting.
keeping the communication lines open, making sure you're
Yeah,
staying in touch with your colleagues.
it's almost like synchronizing, isn't it? And I this came up when we decided coaching. It's a bit like harmonizing with someone when you connect. That
Mm,
with your boss, you could be distant, and unless you find that way of synchronizing,
mm,
you'll find that there's a non synchronistic way where
mm,
he expects you to be on a call and you don't.
mm,
It's interesting because I think communicating, your boss seems like he's open to that communication side of stuff. There's probably some bosses out there that are like, I want you to log on at 9 and
mm,
finish at 5. And my thing is a bit like, it is the boxing thing. You're asking people, that was okay when you was in the office, and out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
You could turn up, ding, ding, let's go to work. But now you're in an environment, if you talk about traveling, in a car on a motorway versus hiking, there's so many things that change that movement. And in some
Mm,
aspects, you'll get quicker because you can go direct as the crow flies. In other aspects, it takes ages. And it's a little bit like that with working from home, because your scenario with the kids, in some aspects, so you've got your partner there, I call it
mm,
stepping stones, where he has 2 hours, you have 2 hours.
mm.
And
Yeah.
if you can synchronize that with your boss, then that's excellent, because you know that
Yeah.
those 2 hours you're both working together, and then the 2 hours you're
Mm,
off, you can comfortably play with the kids and engage with the kids and have fun. It's being in that
yeah.
place of conflict that I find that there's an issue with people, because if you're playing with the kids thinking you should be taking a call, you're not
Oh,
present.
yeah. No, exactly. And you feel guilty then. You start having that guilt of being a bad mum or being a bad PA to your boss, and there's no happiness there, is there? So,
So that point of thought, and I'm reading a book at the moment called The Power of Now, or The Moment of Now, and I use like a plumb line. In lift shaft, we use a plumb line to measure. And when
mm,
it's accurate and you can tie it off, you can measure from that line and everything becomes true.
hmm
But if you leave it swinging and someone opens a door or knocks it and you take a measurement, you're going to be out. So if you're not present, so if you're with the kids, but not with the kids because you're thinking about, well, he might be, or they might be emailing me, you won't be turning up right, because the kids will be
mm,
like, Mum, you'll be like, yeah, you can already feel that angst of watching
mm,
the pig or playing with kids and not being there
mm.
fully. And the same with your boss, when your boss is there and then you can hear someone drop something downstairs and you think,
Yeah.
have they just hurt themselves? Is your husband watching
Yeah,
TV and even looking at the kids?
exactly.
You're suddenly not present. And that
Mm,
point of now, I mean, essentially that's what meditation is getting back to that centered point now. And if anyone can do that, but it's interesting how it can be affected, the mind can be affected and go off in in
mm,
in future or past and not be present. Like, I wonder what's going to happen if I can't get on this call at such and such a time, versus
mm,
now. And that, trying to find that system where the interference isn't there. So having the interference of should have been on a call, but you're with your kids, either manage that and
mm,
say, I can't take the call. So we've moved this call around a few times,
mm.
but like a boxer moving back and moving back. He keeps his space, but he shifts. And that's what I want to try and get people to work on, is where's that shift going to be? So you can
Something's
approach.
got to give, hasn't it, really, to create that harmony, like you said. Otherwise, everything suffers. I'm not going to be performing at work. I'm not going to be being a good mum or the best mum I can be, unless something is changed.
Yeah, it just
So,
becomes like a handbag fight and a scrap, doesn't it? Because no
yeah,
one wins. Everyone's just in.
exactly.
Kids are
Yeah.
worrying because mum's got the ump. Husband's
Mm.
worrying because mum's got the ump, and
Everyone's worried if mum's got the ump.
yeah, today.
Yeah. The
So
boxing comes out.
yeah. Does your other half? Does he box as well?
No, no,
Oh
he's
right. So you've
I
got the
did
other.
say he should do it. I said he should do the ultra white collar boxing, but he's no, he's a lover, not a fighter. I'm the other way around.
Isn't it interesting in that environment? And I like using. I did the white collar boxing, and in that environment where there's fear, where there's unknown, where your
Mm,
mind can get away from you, you can really be put off balance by
mm,
not being in the truth. I always thought, if you could be really comfortable, like watching what I used to do in the boxing in the gym, and then what I did in the ring was it was so effective. And I think people are the same in life. Like if you're in the office and you've got everything clear and you're in a line and you're and you've got no outside influence and you're present, you can
mm,
get that flow state where everything a day where everything just flows well. And you
mm,
get the other day where your mind isn't present and there's loads of influences, your performance is affected. And I remember our coach saying to us before the fight that you're going to lose sort of 70% of your energy and ability in just the um, event, in
mm,
just what's going on. And I think with working from home, that can work for you and against you if you've got the right environment. So if you've got the right space at home, you can smash work.
Mm.
I used to get stressed because I used to come in with a to-do list when I worked at corporate, and I'd get it done by 11.
Mm.
And then I'd feel guilty the afternoon because I've done what I should have done, but I didn't feel like I should then step back.
Mm.
And what I've learned is have a system, have a plan, and if you've done the work, then step off
Yeah.
and either realign and do something else, or just enjoy that you've done the work. You know,
Yeah.
the pain is in the expectation that I should be here till 5.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I had a call the other day with someone that she's at home with the kids, and we dropped on a call at 7 because that's her best time. And I've had them at 5 and at 6
Mm.
because it's just changing the game and moving the goalposts. So what other things have you done that you've changed?
I think as well, just back on that point, it's just that, every day is different. Um, you're normally, if you're in the office, if you've got a routine, you know pretty much what your day's going to look like. Whereas, like I said, I've tried different things with my husband to make that work. For example, this morning he was called out, so our 2-hour slot that I was meant to be doing was not my 2-hour slot, so I didn't get to go for my run, and I've been trying to get out for a run. So that's another tip. I think you have to make sure you're trying to get time for yourself to do something for yourself. So it's all right
Mm,
being mum and being work, but where's your time? You can't just split the day up into hourly chunks of work and family. I think you need your own time, so I think that's really important. But yeah, again, it shifts. So today I didn't get my run, so maybe I'll go out later. And I think it's just being flexible and not being disheartened if the day isn't going as you thought it would. And it's
mm,
that expectation, isn't it, of just, I think we just need to be a bit easier on ourselves during this time, especially, and also just when working at home in general. It's not the same as being in an office. You can't expect the same output, unfortunately. I mean, as much as we'd love to, but
mm.
it's not realistic. So
Yeah, it's keeping on your toes because in the boxing scenario, if someone kept coming forward and forward and forward, you could get overwhelmed. Whereas if you kept on your
yeah.
toes and kept back, kept shifting and adjusting, you could keep that state of being in a good place, but then
mm,
just shifting. Okay, so you can't go for a run and you shift it.
yeah.
If you stressed about the fact that you didn't get your run in, you could get caught up in that
mm,
anxiety, which is those expectations that you should have gone for a run, or he shouldn't have gone on a call out. You can see a load of scenarios there as,
yeah.
oh, his work's more important
Yeah.
than mine because he's gone out. You can see all that stuff
Yeah.
going
Well, what
on.
about my run?
And we've had that. We do that. And I think over years, like me and Sharon on holiday, we shift and I have up until 9. So most of the time they have a lay in. So I get up from 3 o'clock and I work on stuff.
3 in the morning.
Yeah, so I've got up
Oh, wow.
early, but that's given me space because I love what I'm doing. So, and this,
Mm,
there's a difference with some people. And the other risk with that, with loving what you're doing or being on fire with work and stuff, is that the other thing is you don't switch off. Whereas at work, you would come away, maybe even late, but you would come away. And me and Ash talked about, like coaching, I provide a space for people to open up in, so they
mm,
become natural at opening up in the environment that we've set. When you go to the gym or you go boxing or you go out for a meal or whatever, you set those spaces up to, this is what I do here. So when you're at home and you're working in the kitchen or in the living room, that's not the space you normally do in that. And also when you don't come away from it. So the risk is that you sit back to the table at 8 or 9 and carry on working.
mm.
That can go for you, but it can also go against you because you don't then take those times where you go for a run, etc.
Yeah, I think it's important to set yourself a day, set your time boundaries for sure as well, working from home. Otherwise you don't ever leave the desk or you're constantly checking your phone. So I tend to say like, okay, after 5 I log off, but I'll check my emails till about 7, or when the kids go to bed I'll pick the phone up again if I have to. But I think it is important to make sure you've got those boundaries. Otherwise it just all becomes one long work day.
Yeah.
Every day just rolls into the other, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think I love analogies. That's what helps me think. It just makes it
Mm,
simple for me. But going with boxing, unless you get in a position like to throw a jab or throw a right or do an uppercut, if you're going to do an uppercut and work on the body, you shift into a position where you can take that. If you try to do the same punch in your normal stance, it doesn't work. You need to drop your knees and step in. And it's a bit like that with work. When you're going to sit and play with the kids, I remember my daughter she's 15 now, but when I used to go and say goodnight, the thing was I used to go in the door and she used to pretend she was asleep and I'd have to get from the door to hers and she would not laugh. Just her face would be, and I'd tiptoe, maybe talk a bit. And she'd get so mad because she'd laugh before I got to her. She's like, "Why can't I not laugh?" And I'm like, "This is our game. This is." I was turning up differently when I was putting her to bed, and it was I was coming from a different place, and this is where to shift and align. When you're working, trying to get in position where you work, and you get what you got to get done, and you find that space where you can perform and you can deliver, and then shift. And then if you're going to spend 2 hours with the kids because your other half's working, then spend that time. And it's always difficult. I get caught out sometimes, and the missus will clock me. Are you present now? I'm like, yeah, I am really. And I'm figuring out how I can do something. Or
I think we all do it, don't we? We all do it.
Yeah.
Your mind wanders and you're like, oh no, I've not been listening. What's he talking about?
We pulled up on the drive before and she's like, she just stops and she's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "We just drove for 30 minutes and you've not said a word." I'm like, "I don't know." I was
In my
thinking.
head, I did.
And sometimes
Yeah, my husband says that.
that thought has got purpose. Like in my my management courses, I have a balloon, and when you're connected to the balloon and you're thinking something important, like, "Okay, what do I need to get from the shops?" That's a thought that's productive and it's connected to something and there's a purpose to it. It's when you lose that connection and your mind drifts off at, "Oh, what if I don't get that report done by such and such?" And you bounce around the walls instead of, "What have I got to do to get that report done?" Or, "I need to spend 30 minutes tonight getting prepped so I can get up early and spend 20 minutes finishing it off." That's got
Yeah.
purpose. That's got a connection. And it's the connection to mind. People lose at the moment, I think, because of all the turmoil. The balloon gets ripped out of their hand and they're like, "Well, what if the world ends?" And there's no purpose to from now. If you need to go and get food because you haven't got food, there's a point to that. So book it in, schedule it in. But that's why. So one of the things I do is I've got 6 sections to how I operate in the business. So I number them and I schedule it. So now is actually 6. It's part of creative process of putting content out. So we called in a video that I'll put out to give people content, and I'll schedule that in. And then afterwards, I'm going for a walk with my daughter where we're just going to go off and do our daily exercise. So I'll shift from now to then, and then come back. I'll schedule time to edit this and post it. So I block and schedule stuff in, a bit like combination of punches. So I know I'm doing that then, and I'll sit in that office to do that work, or I'll go out and take calls. So
I think it's also that sense of achievement, isn't it? If you do have a list of to-dos or you set yourself some little targets for the day, when you complete them, it's kind of like you said earlier, you feel like, oh, I've done my day's work. Now I can step back and relax and enjoy time with the kids or enjoy some family time or whatever you want to do, go for a walk or whatever. But I think it's important to have little goals, small goals, but break the day up so that actually by the end of the day, you are still achieving things as if you were in the office, even though you're at home. So yeah, I think definitely writing to-do lists and having those set blocks for things, whatever people's situations may be. Obviously mine's between kids and stuff, but I know with Ash, obviously his challenges are much different. So he'll have his own schedule.
and I think the other thing is changing those expectations, because I've done it before. I've sat down and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I've allowed the afternoon, and suddenly I've spent the whole afternoon downloading new software and speaking with Apple or getting something working, and the next day it's taken even longer to do it. Now, unless you shift, you can spend that whole time in anguish and like, this is taking. And I went down the house and my wife's like, and she catches herself.
Yeah.
Like we catch ourselves. It's like, oh, I thought this was going to take an afternoon. My bad. It's taken a lot longer. And for me, it's always trying to get back to that point where you're always like, in a good space.
Yeah,
But
same here.
still connecting that with functioning and stuff. And a lot of it is, for me, is shifting what I thought was
Yeah.
versus getting stuff done. So 20 minutes is up, Alice.
Oh, we finished.
I know.
Goes
But
quick.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? But I think it's good to pick out and get through some of those sort of tidbits.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you got any asks you want to say before we go and wrap up? Anything you want to advertise?
No, not really. No, I've got nothing to advertise, really. Nothing to advertise, have
No
I?
worries. Well, thanks for coming on. Eventually,
No, thanks for having me. I
enjoy the
know.
kids.
Sorry about that. Next time I'll be better.
It's fine. All right, lovely. Cheers, Alice.
See you later. Bye.
No worries. Cheers.